Man, what a time to be alive. This is Stephen Milhausen. Welcome back to the Walkway to Fight Club. An old friend has decided to join me. Combat sports ring announcer extraordinaire. You could catch him on One Championship as they have a big event coming up tomorrow night live on Amazon Prime. Out from you're in where? Because
I'm I'm in Bangkok, bro.
he's in Bangkok, Thailand. He's the play-by-play man for One Championship, the one and only Ray Flores. And it's been a while, man. We chatted for 30 minutes. I haven't even hit the record. We didn't even hit the record button yet. But no, man. How are you? More importantly, enough about me. How are you?
Oh, well, first of all, great to join you, Steve, on what has been, it's an eventful evening for me because it is, evening time for me, early morning for you guys and stuff. I'm great, man. I mean, literally went from 166 in Doha in Qatar last week, an awesome card, our first time in Doha. I mean, the fans are amazing. And now here back at Lumpini Stadium, the Madison Square Garden of the East, getting ready to celebrate International Women's Day in all women's card from top to bottom. 9 fights, all of them women's matchups. The best martial artist, the best women's martial artist on the planet going at it. Real excited about it, man. Had good fighter meetings, and off we go tomorrow night, your time, Saturday morning, my time.
Before we continue and talk about the reason we are here, I do want to thank everybody. I found out it wasn't even because I don't pay attention to these rankings and all this stuff and how it works. But this podcast is back ranked in the United States on the Apple Podcast. I want to thank everyone so much for listening recently. It's just dude, I don't deserve. People, in fact, want to hear me is still kind of quite weird. But I want to thank everyone for listening. Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your favorite podcasting platforms. Thank you guys so much. It does mean a lot to be ranked once again. But the reason we're here, the reason people aren't watching me to hear my gums, they want to hear Ray talk. And if you could see the ticker down below, yes, it is happening. I nearly spit up my coffee. I dropped my banana on the floor, and the dog ate my banana. I spilled my yogurt on the floor, which happily on the banana. So one of my dogs had a nice, really good breakfast. Big call, Mike Tyson, July 20th, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And people are like, wait, live on DAZN? Nope. Live on Netflix. Ray Flores, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, it caught me by surprise. I'm literally in the Grab, which is Uber here in Southeast Asia. Just got done with dinner, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I'm like, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and it was from Amir Abdallah, who I've done some business with, who is the head of Skill Challenge promotions, and I was like, wow, this is legit, huh? I mean, look, it's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. It's going to be a media frenzy around it. And we just have to understand this, man, is that, these type of events are going to become more frequent in boxing. Now, what I hope for is that with these type of events, we still get those really great pound for pound, dare to be great fights. And the problem that I have as a whole in boxing is that the attractions, and I don't like that word, as you know, special attractions, right? I can't stand that word, but these sort of, these entertaining fights per se are becoming more the norm instead of these number one versus number two, best pound for pound fighter, who's the best in the division. That's my issue, is that typically before we would have, the best of the best fighting each other, and then a few of these, one-offs and these, sort of, these entertainment kind of spectacles. Now, the entertainment spectacle is becoming more the norm, and the best of the best fighting each other in boxing is becoming more like a sort of a lost art form. And that's what I have a problem with. I'm like, wait a minute. Why isn't it the best of the best fighting each other on a consistent basis? And then you have these sort of, entertaining, off the cuff attractions. But now the attractions are becoming more than the actual, fights that we should be seeing with, the number one against the number two guy, or guys going up in weight classes to dare to be great. That's my issue with the entire scenario and the entire sport of boxing.
Here's part of a press release that I got from Most Valuable Promotions announcing the fight. It's crazy to think that in my second fight, I went viral for knocking out Nate Robinson on Mike Tyson's undercard. Now, less than 4 years later, I'm stepping up to face Tyson myself to see if I have what it takes to beat one of boxing's most notorious fighters and biggest icons. I want to stop there really quickly. I read that and I spit out my coffee. And this is how this whole, I don't want to say charade because I respect everything Jake has done to get to this point in time. But he owes Mike Tyson a whole debt of gratitude. Mike, you had done some work with Triller. You understand than a lot of other people how the operation works over there. It was Mike Tyson's approval for Jake to even be on that card. Mike had a big say. Regardless of what people want to say, that is the honest to God's truth.
Yep.
I'm looking at this and yes, Mike is one of boxing's most notorious fighters. There's no doubt. The fact that 57, Mike Tyson you know this, you've been at plenty of boxing shows. The roar when he is shown is palpable.
Yeah, of course.
But there is no reason I need to see this. What is Jake? I'm trying to figure out, and I'll put this here right now because we'll talk about this for a while.
Yeah.
Why is this happening right now? Why does Jake Paul need to feel the need to, you know what? I'm going to go beat up a guy who's got his AARP card. 2 years ago was walking around, and I seen the video, and I remember the video. He's walking around with a damn cane. Why is Jake Paul facing, and I love Mike Tyson. You love Mike Tyson. We all love Iron Mike. But why in the hell is Jake Paul fighting a guy 30 years his senior? I don't get
because he needs a legend, a boxing legend on his resume. I mean, that's the only reason why this is happening. It's going to do big box office because it's Mike Tyson. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, no matter where you go in the world, I spent time with Mike Tyson in Saudi Arabia. I've seen Mike Tyson in Vegas a bunch of times. I mean, it's, I know his son very well, Amir, who's, up and coming in this business from a commentating standpoint. But the only reason why this is happening is so that Jake Paul can get a highlight reel knockout over Mike Tyson. And it's not even going to be under the context of he's 57 years old or he's in his 50s. It's, I knocked out Mike Tyson. And we all know that that's exactly what the narrative is going to be after July 20th. Because just based on the fact of just by sheer age, it's like, even though Jake Paul has, never fought anyone of the caliber of Mike Tyson, he's still 30 years younger than him, nearly 30 years younger than him. Or how old? I don't even know how old Jake is, but nearly 30 years younger than him, right? Isn't he 27?
I'm looking it up right now. I was just as soon as you said that, and we're talking about it here, Jake Paul.
Yeah, he's got to be 26, 27. I mean, he's a brilliant marketer, and what he's done. What is he?
He just turned 27 in January. Okay,
so he's going to be, and I think Mike will be 58 when he steps in the ring. He's going to be 31 years younger than that of Mike Tyson. Based on that alone, Jake is a sizable favorite. I saw Jim Rodriguez is a good friend of mine and posted on Bovada, Jake Paul right now is a minus 500 favorite. Mike Tyson's plus 325. Look, I have this suspicion that the state of Texas, the Department of Texas Regulatory Affairs, is going to sanction this as a real fight. Because in my estimation, just based on that alone, Steve, this should be an exhibition. and not a real boxing match. I mean, look at when Mike Tyson fought Danny Williams. This is back in the early 2000s. He was the shell of his former self then. And that's that he was early 40s. Now he is literally nearing 60 years old. And the only reason why this is happening is because obviously it's going to be massive. And Netflix, I mean, I saw the trailer. I don't know if you saw the trailer. The trailer's big, spectacular. It's almost like cinema. It's going to draw big numbers, and it's going to be very widely talked about and highly attended. But at the end of the day, everybody knows what's going to happen. And if Mike somehow finds a way to win, good for him. But you know what? He doesn't need it. And here's the problem with me, or what's going to make me sad, is that here's Mike Tyson, a guy that fought the likes of Lennox Lewis and Larry Holmes and the youngest heavyweight champion in history. And my lasting memory of Mike Tyson is likely going to be him getting knocked out by Jake Paul when he was nearly 60 years old and a senior citizen. That to me is damaging to Mike's legacy. And it's like, literally, Jake is getting a boxing legend. He did it with Anderson Silva, and a UFC legend, but I don't think it had enough cachet for him. And because Jake is so powerful economically, when he fights, people will watch and pay. That he's like, you know what? I need a huge name. Mike Tyson. People thought it was impossible, but I'm going to make it happen. That's what I give Jake Paul credit for. He makes things that almost seem impossible possible. So credit to him. But it's still, to me, you know what's going to happen. It's almost like when Shawn Michaels matched up against Ric Flair, and Ric Flair had his retirement match. And you knew that you knew Rick was going to lose. And you knew it was going to be the end of a career. But you were kind of holding out hope. And then when the moment happened, you were just like, oh, that really hit hard. That's what's going to happen here. But here's the deal. That's sports entertainment. So technically, Rick didn't get hurt. Mike Tyson can get hurt here. And I think that is a major issue. And people that are involved in this really need to look at themselves, because how are they going to feel if Mike Tyson, a living legend, really gets seriously hurt? There's a reason why I have commissions in this country. And to be honest, I don't know if I agree with this being sanctioned as a real fight, because he did not look good over 20 years ago when he fought Danny Williams.
I did reach out to the and I always want to get them right, because we can say what we want about Texas. I did reach out to the Texas Department license. The Texas Department, I have to read it here because it's
me too.
Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. I talked to someone there about 2 minutes before we got on here, and they knew MVP had applied for a promoter's license to have stage his card in Texas at AT&T Stadium. They did not know who the opponent was going to be. All they were told is that Jake Paul would be fighting. But they found out, but they've made no determination yet on what, if it's going to be an exhibition or if it would be a sanctioned professional fight. I have this bad feeling this is going to be a professional fight.
Yeah, me too. You keep gambling with stuff like this, Steve, and this is the whole issue, and I'm okay with it because, these fighters are training hard and, doing their thing. When it comes to the YouTubers getting into boxing, right, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you keep playing around with stuff like this, when these unique matchups, you risk somebody getting seriously hurt. And that's my thing. And you keep playing around, and you keep letting all this stuff happen. And thankfully, knock on wood, guys have been healthy, women have been healthy. But this is Mike Tyson, who's nearly 60 years of age. Again, what if he gets seriously hurt? How are people going to be able to deal with that? Now, there's a possibility he doesn't. But in combat sports, this is, when you step in that ring, you are literally putting your physical well-being on the line. And it's not like Jake Paul is a boxer, is a finesse boxer. This dude hits hard. I've talked to guys who sparred with him, and they go, "This guy hits hard." And you think he's going to hold back because he's Mike Tyson? He's going to try to knock his head off. And I don't care what people say. Oh, he's still Mike Tyson. A 58-year-old Mike Tyson is nowhere near his prime. So let's get out. Well, Jake's in danger too. Yeah, little to none, because Mike Tyson's nearly 60 years of age. As you get older, your reflexes go. Like, come on, man.
Mike Tyson will be 58 on June 30th.
Unbelievable, man. 58 years old. He's on the back end of 50, nearly 60. And I'm not saying that the fight is wrong. It's wrong if it's a real fight and guys can get seriously hurt. Mainly Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson was 40, 45, 48, let's say he was Bernard Hopkins' age, 49 years old when Bernard Hopkins had his final fight against Joe Smith at the Forum in Los Angeles. I'd even be okay if Mike Tyson was 10 years younger. No problem. Here, yeah, I'm concerned, bro. And I'm concerned for a living legend, because this is not sports entertainment where I know he's going to be able to walk out unless he has a freak injury on his own power. There is a possibility that he gets knocked out. And at that, I don't want to see the consequences there, man.
I'd like to know who came up with this brilliant idea. And I mean brilliant, being facetious here. I think this is this is just a bad idea. Like, I get Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, 80,000 people inside of AT&T Stadium. We'll get to that in a second. I think the big thing here, more than anything, and I think this is kind of getting buried, this is on Netflix.
Yeah.
You look at 260 million global subscribers. ESPN Plus has around 25 million. DAZN has around 20 million. It's hard to beat 260 million subscribers. I could get the lure of that. I could get it. I get it. 260 million people. This will be the most watched boxing fight of all time. That's not even open for debate, in my opinion. You look at Netflix, they've done a couple different things with live sports. They've done a tennis match with Rafael Nadal, and they did, I think, like a NASCAR event somewhat recently, or an F1. It's really loose. I'm really drawing a blank, but I know they definitely did a tennis match with Rafael Nadal fairly recent. But where I got the issue is this is even happening, and the fact that Netflix, in a way, is putting their reputation on the line here by distributing this event. Is the juice worth the squeeze here for Netflix? Because I don't really think it is. Because this, like you said, I even think if this is an exhibition, I think this could still turn out to be really bad for Mike.
If it's an exhibition, I think there are more parameters around it, to where it's like, we see the novelty of Mike getting in the ring. We see him and Jake Paul share in the ring. You never thought it was possible. There are more parameters around an exhibition. But if this is a real fight, is what I anticipate, I mean, it's essentially, theoretically, literally and figuratively, the gloves are off. And look, it is going to be major box office. A lot of people are going to make a lot of money on this. So congrats and kudos to them. However, Steve, where do we draw the line? And that's my whole thing. Is it here? Because if this is successful, which it will be at the box office, and if Mike fares somewhat halfway decent, are we then going to open up the door for older fighters, the older greats? Because people have this fascination with the legends of yesteryear. People love nostalgia. Are we going to open up the door for more of these, fighters that are in their 50s and late 40s to come back? There is a reason why Father Time is undefeated in combat sports. So I'm fearful that Well, let's hope that Mike comes out okay and everything's fine. But is this going to open up the door to other legends that want to come back and put themselves in line for the Jake Paul sweepstakes or other guys, and then they risk themselves getting seriously hurt? Where do we draw the line? It's clear that that line is being they're not even looking at a line because it's going to be so popular and draw so much interest. But at the end of the day, at what cost? And I hope that it isn't a significant cost at the health and at the expense of the health of Mike Tyson.
You know, and people give Floyd Mayweather a lot of flack. I at times happen to be one of them. But Floyd was smart enough to where a lot of guys aren't. What you're bringing up here, he knew when to get out. You look at, I'm hearing a lot of rumblings. I was texting you this. I have it on good authority. Negotiations are deep with Conor Benn and Manny Pacquiao. Looks like Manny Pacquiao could be returned. Looks like Manny's going to return to the ring. I'm hearing anywhere between May and July.
Man.
And we all know the devastating knockouts that Manny Pacquiao has endured throughout his career. Back to the Netflix thing really quickly, because I feel like, is this a dip in the toe for Netflix? Because they're already doing WWE, that starts in January. Is this like a dip in the water for Netflix to see if the boxing model, if they start dipping their toe into boxing and airing more fights and more one-offs like this, or maybe they agree to a deal with like a Top Rank or a PBC in the future?
I don't know. I just think that Netflix seems to be doing things, especially with their WWE deal. They want things that are going to make a significant splash because of their platform and the subscribers that they have globally around the world, which you mentioned. I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know if they're going to really get into the boxing business wholeheartedly, but I see this being if everyone comes out relatively unscathed, and again, I have to keep saying that because you have 58-year-old Mike Tyson fighting 27-year-old Jake Paul here, and the goal is to knock somebody senseless, and that could go wrong, which I hope it doesn't. But if this is everyone comes out okay, then I could see them doing another big box office blockbuster, kind of a fight that we didn't think was possible. And I think it'll open up the door for it. I don't know if they're going to be invested in the sport consistently because I think Jake has that deal with DAZN for his prospect series. So I can't see him being like, all right, I'm going to bring my prospects over here and this and that. I think that would not violate, but I think that just, he's got his deal with DAZN. He's doing this one off of Netflix. I mean, hey, my hat's off to Jake Paul and MVP Promotions, Nikisa Badarian and Mike Leonardi, all those guys. They're the first ones to do it with Netflix. So credit to them. And they're going to open up the door for it. But I think Netflix will do this if it's big stuff. I can't see them doing it maybe more than 2-3 times a year at the max. It'll probably be like a 2 times a year deal, maybe even a 1 time a year deal, so that it has the big cachet and it has like a WrestleMania kind of vibe to it.
The only reason I put it, I don't want, and I know what people are going to say because people tend to take things and misconstrue everything. And I didn't put this because I used to work at DAZN. I'm like legitimately like, and you alluded to it. They have the most valuable prospect series on DAZN. They signed another 1-year deal that's through the end of 2024. And I think the series is very good, and I think it is very beneficial for both sides. DAZN they say they're the home of boxing. Jake Paul and Nikisa and Badarian need a platform to where they can get these young guys a lot of eyeballs, and DAZN does fit that bill. But if I'm DAZN, I got to be a little irritated here and feeling like the redheaded stepchild in the room, because here they put Jake Paul card against Andre August right before Christmas, and then what ended up being a main event spot, putting on that card they put on last week in Puerto Rico, and then the unfortunate incident with Amanda Serrano. If I'm DAZN here, I'm a little peeved. I'm a little upset because they've made, and they had the Jake Paul Nate Diaz fight in August. They put a financial investment in Jake Paul here, and he turns around and says, "See ya, I'm going this way." I'd be a little peeved if I'm on the business side. If I'm the higher ups at the zone, I'm a little irritated, to say the least.
Yeah, Steve, I think you hit it spot on. Is that I'm sure the executives at the zone are not the most thrilled individuals in the world, based on the fact of, they invested in Jake Paul fights, especially with the Andre August fight, with this past, Friday night's card, with, supposed to be Amanda Serrano, and for unfortunate circumstance, my heart goes out to, to her for that, I thought I've seen it all in combat sports, and no, I have not, with that whole situation, with the eye issue and everything else. And now he goes, I mean, look, it's a brilliant play by Jake, but for DAZN, you're like, man, you didn't even give us a heads up and this and that. I would gather to think that they're probably blindsided by this news, because I don't think anybody could have seen this coming, and they kept it so tight-lipped, which is good for them. But I mean, if you're DAZN, you're like, man, we didn't even get an opportunity to match the offer. We were never even in the negotiations for it. I mean, if you're DAZN now, you got to be thinking, all right, maybe you should kind of, pull it back a little bit when it comes to the Jake Paul promotion, based on the fact that the biggest fight. I mean, can you imagine what this would have done for DAZN? It would have been, I mean, this could have, given them, revenue for the next 5 years based on one night. And now Netflix is going to reap the rewards of this. And, that's how the business works. But I don't think that they're thrilled, I'll tell you that.
Because I read the press release, and originally I was like, let me see if it says global. So I did a second, because I just looked at it so quickly, and I was like, whoa. And so then I re-looked at it, and I'm like, it says global. I reached out to some of my friends at the zone. I have not gotten a response yet if they had if anyone had an idea. I looked at their social media. They did a post about it. But knowing some of those people, the higher ups over there has to be some hurt feelings. Do I know if they were bamboozled by this? I don't know. I really don't. I would think they had to be given some type of heads up. One would think. Because if they weren't, that's just, like you said, it's bad business. And Jake's a smart business guy, and Nikisa's a smart business guy. You look at his stuff that he helped broker this, one of the key cogs in helping broker the deal of the UFC to Endeavor to begin with. But if they didn't, I would be very ticked off if I'm Joel Markovsky and a lot of the higher ups. Shai Segev, who's based out of the UK. I would be, if I'm those cats, I would be very irritated. I'd be a little upset. I know DAZN's been trying not to overspend on fights. One of the reasons why we've seen a shift with Canelo Alvarez, where it looked like it was like a slam dunk lock guarantee. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's going back to DAZN," and it's like, yeah, let's kind of, knowing how they've really tightened the purse strings over there on some different things, especially paying a Canelo salary for a fight that may not be worth the squeeze. I'm not totally surprised, but like you said, an event like this, because it's an event, it's a spectacle. You're going to have, and we'll get into attendance in a second, but in a venue that can probably hold for this event 80 to 100,000 we'll give a soft conservative estimate. That's an event I would want to be a part of. And I feel like they just I just hope they did not get the wool pulled over their eyes, and hopefully they were given some type of heads up. I really, really, this could have been a really big event for them, and they could have at least done 20 million subscribers. They could have gone easily up to 30.
Easy.
Maybe they double and go to 40.
Yeah, if you don't put this fight on pay-per-view, I mean, which Netflix they're just offering to their subscribers. I mean, if you put this on a regular platform like DAZN, and you tell everyone you got to sign up, and it's a minimum of 6 months sign up, I mean, people are gonna pay because this fight has that much intrigue. I mean, the one thing you and I talk about this quite frequently. just in our own, dialogue, is that they're very rarely, it's becoming few and far between in boxing where there are crossover fights. This is as crossover of a fight as you can think of. This is mainstream. This is pop culture, man. And you know what? Again, I called Jake Paul's loss in Saudi Arabia to Tommy Fury, and he bounced back. And not only that, but he's even bigger than what he was. And no one's paying attention to the loss. I mean, the dude is just a brilliant marketing genius. And now he's got Mike Tyson, and he just continues to be this pop culture sensation that happens to be boxing. Like, that's the thing, is that he's a boxer, yeah, and he's a fighter, because I'm not saying he's not, but first and foremost, he's in entertainment. He's an entertainer in pop culture. So credit to him, man, for being able to do this. But like I said, at the end of the day, the bell's going to ring on July 20th, and you're going to have 27-year-old Jake Paul and 58-year-old Mike Tyson going at it, in which the objective is to knock the other man out. Again, I hope it doesn't end bad for Mike.
We got a comment here from Goofy Edits. Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather 2.0. I'm going with if this is an exhibition.
If it's an exhibition.
I think this is what this comment is based on.
Yeah.
It's an exhibition like we talked, because this popped up about 5 minutes ago when we were talking. So, but thank you for leaving the comment, Goofy. I like the name. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a cool name.
I like that. But, it's one of those things to where, like you said, this could end very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something earlier, and it really caught my attention. Me and you were also talking about this when we were just talking privately.
Yeah.
You feel it damages Mike's legacy.
Yeah, I do.
I feel the same way, just because, I want to remember Mike Tyson for what he did to Spinks, what he did to Trevor Burbank, what he did to Larry Holmes. Because you look at what he did to Spinks, that was just...
It's unbelievable.
I'll watch that at least once every 2 or 3 months. Someone will have it up on Twitter, or I'll find it on YouTube, and I'll sit and watch the whole fight. And it's Tyson at his apex. Even if you look at that mid-90s run, he was, it wasn't the same Tyson, of course not. But he's plowing people over. And that's when I really got, like, I was the kid that his dad got the pay-per-views. I'd go to the family house, have the family parties. And even in the mid-90s, it was like I hung out with guys that were into it, and they wanted to watch. I was hosting Tyson pay-per-view fights. And you brought up the Danny Williams fight, and that was then the Kevin McBride fight.
I mean, that's the thing, Steve.
Go ahead.
Yeah, saying, like, that's the thing. Kevin McBride, Danny Williams. Like, people want to say, oh, Iron Mike Tyson, this and that. I'm not discounting that. But I also remember Mike Tyson losing to Kevin McBride and to Danny Williams. And his skills had diminished even then, 20 years ago. And now that he's fighting a young, hungry, determined, very powerful, very good athlete in Jake Paul, because I have to, look, the thing is, people want to look at the Pauls, and those that criticize them say, oh, they're YouTubers. No, they're YouTubers second. These guys, because, I was very proud of my time at the Big Ten Network, worked there 3 years. The Paul brothers were top-level high school wrestlers in the state of Ohio. And that is a very big wrestling state at the high school level. Like, these guys, when you're a high-level high school wrestler in the state of Ohio, that means you're a great athlete. That means you know how to make weight. That means that you are already starting to get well-versed in combat sports, even if you don't know it. So they're fantastic athletes. Look at Logan, his transition in the WWE, how great he has been in that particular world. They are great athletes. And to take a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson against a fantastic athlete, against a guy who can punch, who's only getting better in my estimation, it just, as I look at that, Jake's going up this way, and Mike hasn't been in real competition. I'm okay with my last memory of Mike Tyson in the ring against Roy Jones Jr. during COVID. I'm okay with that. End it there. But no, we're greedy as a society. There's enough money around it, and you're going to push the envelope. At some point, the buck stops. And that is my very big concern when it comes to this matchup. I'm not against it if it's an exhibition and there is a quicker leash. Even an exhibition, I would hope that there's a quick leash. If he even gets rocked, pull him out of there. This is probably going to be a real fight. And that to me means when it's a real sanctioned fight, the leash is longer.
Yeah.
Because the referees want to give you more time and everything else. It's a pro-sanctioned fight. I don't like that, man. I want a shorter leash in an exhibition. If you want to do an exhibition, knock your socks off. But I hope whoever referee and the state commission says, if he gets rocked even one iota, stop the fight. And I don't want to hear this crap about people like, you need to give the fans their money's worth, this and that. Well, here's the deal. You're not paying for it because it's free on Netflix. So enough. Short leash, dude. But I have a feeling, because this is how it is, and this is how this is how boxing works. It's going to be a pro fight, longer leash, and that leaves the door open for somebody, primarily Mike, to get seriously hurt. Could he win? Yeah, everyone has a puncher's chance, and he's still Mike Tyson. But come on, man. Look at the Vegas odds. -500. +3 something for Mike Tyson. Already Vegas is this is a Jake Paul win, hands down. And I don't want to, and that highlight reel knockout, which is going to happen, is going to be played over and over and over again. And I don't know if I want to see that, man.
How many people do you think will attend the fight? How many people will be in AT&T Stadium? The record's like little over 73,000 for Canelo Alvarez and Nobody Saunders in May of 2021. If it's you, how many people do you think are going to be there?
I'm going to set the number at 65,000, and I'm going to go over. I think it'll probably draw just because it's it's WrestleMania season, so I like watching old WrestleManias in the lead up and everything else, just because, so I'm going to go with, it's probably going to rival the attendance of WrestleMania 6 at Skydome, like 67,000, like 4 something. And I could see it going over. And look, Jake's going to promote this to the moon, dude. And I could see them drawing 80,000, but I've done fights at AT&T Stadium. And this is just me personally. So you can call me the old man in what I'm saying. I was actually there for WrestleMania 32, by the way.
I remember that.
I can't see the interest, man, of why you would want to go and sit in the nosebleeds, because you know how tiny that ring looks when you're sitting up in the nosebleeds, and you're like, I mean, like you're watching the screen, like it's going to be a cool atmosphere, but is it worth it paying the nosebleeds for that? Like, you might as well watch it at home in Netflix. So I'm going to stay at 65,000. I think they do about 67,000. It might do 80,000, but you know what? If it's 80,000, I feel bad for the other 13,000 plus that are sitting in the nosebleeds, because they're going to have the worst view in the house. They might as well be watching it on their smartphone. They're probably going to be watching the phone on their smartphone device on Netflix and then looking at the little ring that's there. But again, I don't have to sit there because I'm not going to be attending. So, you know what I mean? What do I care?
I think at that point, it's more just for like the spectacle of saying, or the allure of saying, I was there.
Yeah, I mean,
there's people, I know plenty of people, and I imagine you do too, that are like, I just want to be there. I want to see like the glitz and the glamour and the allure, the spectacle, the bright light.
You want to know what's funny, Steve? And I'm not even doing this because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm whatever. July 20th, the best time. I'm a fall guy, but we have an amazing summer in Chicago. Like, summertime Chi is phenomenal. I'm probably not going to watch this thing live. I'm probably going to be one of the only human beings that's not watching this live. You know why? because I'm going to be out at baseball games and I'm going to be on a rooftop hanging out, enjoying the beautiful weather. Like, I mean, I know what's going to happen. I'll go back and watch it, but I'm not going to be like, I need to watch this. My eyes are going to be glued on TV. Like, number one, why am I going to want to be inside? Like, if someone's having a cookout, maybe whatever, but like, no, like I'm going to be outside and hanging out and going to a Cubs game, a White Sox game on a rooftop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to enjoy my summer. To those that watch, awesome. But I'm probably not going to watch this thing live, bro.
I don't know. I want to watch because I like a good circus. I'm not going to say I don't. I do. Plenty of people, and I'm all about the ruckus. I'm all about the chaos. I don't know if this is one circus I'm really going to want to attend or watch. I don't know. Like, I think it's determined on where I'm at professionally, and also my moods change. Moods are different.
Yeah.
But I do have to do this because I have to ask. What's your fight prediction?
I mean, Jake Paul by knockout, man. I mean, like, I don't think people give Jake Paul enough credit for being a very solid fighter. Because if you look at this stage of his career, where he's at record-wise, he's on par, if not better, than a lot of guys who have the same record. I mean, he has proven that he can hang with the likes of Anderson Silva. He knocked out Tyron Woodley, twice. And he's a competitor. And he's in the prime of his life right now. And he's strong and he's powerful, and he's working. And he's got Larry Wade, his strength and conditioning coach, who I think is the best strength and conditioning coach in the business. I mean, he's got a very good team around him. J. Leon Love has, I thought, adapted pretty well as his trainer. He's getting good sparring. And with the kind of money that he's generating, he's going to bring in some of the best sparring partners in the world to get him ready. So based on that alone, I think that Jake Paul knocks out Mike Tyson. And it's just, for me, I almost want to be able to be out somewhere and enjoying a Saturday evening, which, I don't get many of them on my off time. And I know that I'm going to be off that weekend. So I want to be able to look at my phone and be like, the result, Jake Paul knocked out Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson's okay. All right, cool. Do I need to see it? No, I don't, because I know what's going to happen. And it's the inevitable, man.
What if Mike Tyson knocked out Jake Paul?
Well, if that were to happen, then, I mean, never say never, but I think it's hard if Jake wants to be considered a serious or a legit contender, even a mid-level contender, if he gets knocked out or even loses to Mike Tyson, that's over. But again, in Jake Paul's mind, I don't think Jake's worried about losing because he's not going to. But if somehow he does, there's a guy out there named KSI who was like complaining and like whatever. That fight does not lose any type of cachet or interest whatsoever. That's still a big box office, blockbuster box office fight. So if Jake somehow loses this, then he can easily go to the YouTubers and be like, I'll fight. Let me fight KSI. Let me fight what's his name? Let me fight a Nissan kid. Let me fight, those guys and stuff. Let me fight Slim, who just had a terrific knockout. I think Slim is probably I think he's probably the best YouTuber aside from Jake Paul, fighter-wise. He trained under Andre Rozier. Yeah. I like Slim a lot. But it's like those fights with KSI and Slim will be there for Jake. But if he wants to be considered, even if he loses to Mike Tyson, the days of being considered a legit contender, those days are over, and I think he knows that.
I agree. I know that's a fight the Zone wants really bad. Is KSI and Jake Paul. that was their hope had been to have that fight at the end of 2020. Because I think it sells out a stadium in the UK. I think Jake is smart. Jake's smart enough to know that, and Jake submitted that more than once. I think it would. I I think KSI is not very good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we saw.
The YouTubers are going to get mad here that I said this, and people are going to be like, "Oh, no, he's not very good." He struck while the iron was hot. I can't blame him. Anyway, people can make money. I can't sit and begrudge. I can't be like, "Well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?" You're making money. You're having fun. Who am I to sit and tell you no? But he's not very good. Like if it's him, and I can't even believe we're having this conversation. I'm going with Slim. I think Slim wins.
I think Slim wins too. I think Slim would beat KSI, and I think Slim should be considered to fight Jake Paul. To be honest, I think that is a fight that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and hopefully it happens because I think Slim deserves it. I think him and Jake Paul would actually make for a fun fight. But let's look at a bigger picture, Steve, in the sense of, like, for people that want to criticize Jake Paul, if they do, say no, we have a fair share of haters. Boxing has itself to blame. If you're against it, they have themselves to blame.
Yeah.
Because in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s, you had De La Hoya, Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. Guys would fight against the best on a regular basis. They wouldn't be, holding out for that much money. They were fighters first, and the money came along with it when they were testing themselves and daring to be great. Now, guys are more so worried about beefs on Instagram and Twitter, and they're sitting out for 18 months to 2 years. We all know this in society. Out of sight, out of mind. Can you imagine the NFL taking a hiatus for 2 years and you not seeing Patrick Mahomes for 2 years? People would find the NBA, the MLB. They would find other stars to gravitate towards. So boxing has the true boxing traditionalists. The sport has itself to blame. That's why Jake Paul is the biggest cash cow, aside from Canelo Alvarez, in the sport. It is not even close. It's Jake Paul, it's Canelo, and everyone else is a distant third. And it's like those two are at the top, and that's it. So boxing has no one to blame but themselves. And you know what? It's sad, man. I'm not saying it's sad about Jake Paul's success. It's sad that boxing just continues to shoot itself in the foot, and we keep not having these big matchups. Or if the matchups are happening, they're happening in Saudi Arabia, where the whole key was when you had big fights at Madison Square Garden. You knew friends. I knew friends that were at Madison Square Garden attending the fight. In Vegas, or I had friends of mine covering the fight in Vegas or in Dallas or in New York. Now everything's going to Saudi Arabia. And yeah, the fights are getting made. But at the end of the day, no one cares in the United States. You know why? Because you don't know anyone that's there covering it, and it lacks atmosphere. So that's just my whole tirade on, the status on the sport of boxing.
Because you look at 2023 and look at how great it was. You got the fights you got fights that people were emotionally invested in. Like you had, like you said, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. You had Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. You had, you got to see Anthony Joshua fight 3 times in a calendar year. A top level name fighting that many times in 1 year. That's a big testament to Anthony Joshua. Canelo fought twice. Yeah, not against the guys we were hoping for, but when you get the biggest attraction in United States boxing inside the ring 2 times, it's a win either way, in my opinion. And look at what's happened in 2024. We're not getting. Yeah, you got a big fight this Friday on DAZN. You got Fury, Usyk. But what else is out there? And like you said, those fights aren't big here because the marketing hasn't been done correctly to where the fighters haven't been talking. No one knows this fight's even happening. No one's there. Beyond USA Today, I don't know a major outlet that's even there in Saudi Arabia this week. And that's a shame. That's terrible, in my opinion. But it's also a thing, and look at what you got March 30. Like, you talk about guys being inactive. Keith Thurman's fought once in 5 years. And he's finally going to fight, and he's going to get his head blown off by, not blown, but he's going to get his head knocked off his shoulders by Tim Tszyu. Unless Keith runs around for 36 minutes, which I would not be shocked if Keith did that. And I wouldn't be really surprised if he did. And I think Rolly Romero, we say what you want about Rolly Romero, but he's fighting an overblown lightweight. And I think he's going to beat Bull Cruz. So it's like, and poor fans got to have to pay probably about $60 to watch that, which is terrible. I think that should be that would have been a really good Amazon on Prime video. Good way to get a card out there, get fans introduced. I could get that cool pay-per-view. I'm sorry. I'll order it because I have to, but it's one I'll begrudgingly buy. It's just
I just think across, yeah.
Fights that are pay-per-view should not be. Fights that are not pay-per-view should not be pay-per-view. And if you're going to market a card in Saudi Arabia, make sure you market the damn card well.
I just think across the board, man, pay-per-views need to, it needs to be special, man.
Yeah.
They really do. It needs to really have like this massive event. You can't just trot out stuff and, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that fighters don't deserve the money, because they do. They're risking their lives. But it's almost to the point where, the money is, the fighters are expecting so much on the minimum that it's almost impossible for the promoters to take a financial risk and put it on regular streaming services without, putting it behind a paywall. And what that does is that it limits exposure to the general sports fan. So yeah, the fighter gets their money, but you have to charge pay-per-view prices. And it's like, I wish we would go back to the days where guys be like, all right, I know my minimum is X. Let me fight for 60% of what the minimum used to be, because money, Showtime's out of the game. Fox is out of the game. There are not as many US TV networks involved in the sport. So bring down your minimum to 60%, and then make your money on the upside, on the game, on the pay-per-view, or on the viewership, sponsorship. You could supersede your minimum and put an amount of money in your pocket if you just look for the long game. But too many times guys only say, well, I want my minimum, and that's it. Okay, you can fight for your minimum, but you got to be on pay-per-view. People are like, oh, pay-per-view, that's great. That's an antiquated thought process, man. Streaming now is at the highest it's ever been, because if you don't want to pay for something, guess what? You're watching Disney Plus with your kids. You're watching Netflix with your wife, or you're watching Love is Blind with your wife or your girlfriend, or something along those lines. There are other options, man. Yeah. So we got to be smart as just combat sports in general. I mean, that's why this is why I love, when it comes to one championship, Amazon Prime. Once a month on Friday nights, I'm here in Bangkok, and the fights happen Saturday mornings here in Bangkok. But you know when they're on in the United States? Friday nights in prime time on Amazon Prime. Everybody has Amazon Prime. You can watch it in your palm of your hand, man. It's like with our exposure, our viewership, our numbers are through the roof, because it's a smart business strategy. And boxing is still stuck in their, antiquated ways.
That's where I give Bob Arum so much credit. And I've had conversations with Bob about this, to where, he's not just said it to me. I'm pretty certain he said this other reporters as well. The same exact thing you just said, because that's how it used to be. I remember asking De La Hoya that. I talked to him about a year or so ago, and we were talking about it. Was like a conversation we had. Is I knew what I can make on pay-per-view. I would take under my minimum. I would get a base, because I knew I had enough. I will do the media. I'll put in the work to make sure I'll get a minimum, but I know I'll take a lower minimum to get a bigger upside. I'll get a bigger cut of the pie. That's what Pacquiao did. That's what Mayweather did. That's what Tyson did. Lewis, Holyfield, the biggest pay-per-view attractions in the history of boxing, were smart enough to know. And Canelo did the same thing for the longest time. Took the lower amount knowing he can make a bigger upside at the end of the day. The money's going to be more. And not enough guys are willing to put in the work to do that now. And that's why more fights have to go to pay-per-view. Well, I want my minimum of $5 million. Well, the fight's not going to do $5 million. Like, I think Keith Thurman's getting around $3 million for this fight. Keith Thurman's not even worth half of that. No respect to Keith. None at all. He's not worth the juice, as the kids say. I'm sorry. Here's $1 million. I'll be courteous to give you $1 million. Do the media, make the rounds, build up the fight. If you build up the fight, you're gonna make more than the $3 million that you're guaranteed. But
it's a bigger picture thing too, Steve. In the sense that I feel like guys make their minimum, and then they're like, okay, I'm good. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you can make half of that. Let's say it's $3 million. You make $1.5 million. But if you put in the work, I mean, look, I was around Floyd. I did the Mayweather McGregor tour, and I saw how hard Floyd and Conor worked. And this is that they are both very well off. They worked their butts off promoting that fight, man. Can you imagine if these guys, take half of their, or even 60% of their minimum and really bust their butt? Instead of them making $3 million, they could really make $5 or $6 million if they put in the work. But guys get their minimum now, and they sit back and like, I'm good now because I got my minimum. You can make so much more on the upside if you put in the work. But the problem is complacency, and that's the issue, man. And that's why boxing has gotten so stagnant.
You know who still puts in the work? Canelo Alvarez.
Without a doubt.
I know he did it when he fought Caleb Plant. And talking to people from Showtime, and he knew, I gotta put in the media. At that stage of the game, he doesn't need to fucking do that. And he did it anyway. He still does it because he gets it. Now his English is better. He can go around and do more US-based stuff. And you know what? That's why he's the biggest attraction in all of boxing. Jake Paul puts in the damn work. Jake's making his money. He doesn't have to. This is where the Furies, the Joshuas, the Usyks, I'll even say I'll put Gervonta Davis under the bus too, because he doesn't do this enough either. What he's making is good, but it could be a lot better. You got to put in the work. Like the Tank Garcia fight, Ryan Garcia put in 95% of the work. You know that, I know that. That fight even doesn't happen if it's not for Ryan Garcia for one. You can say what you want about Ryan right now, and you'll be pretty accurate. But Ryan put in the work.
Yeah, big time.
And I wish Tank would have put in more of the work. That could have done 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, maybe more, if he would have just been willing to put in the work, help sell the paper, which he really didn't do. And I thought that was a detriment to Showtime, to Zone, and Ryan Garcia, and even to his Floyd Mayweather. Actually, no, he wasn't with Mayweather for that, but to his brand in general. Garcia's come out the bigger star. I think because Garcia's state active, he's kept himself out of trouble. But he also promoted the fight where now he's making more money in sponsorships than he is in fighting. So it's like fighters got to be willing to put in the damn work. And look at Jake Paul. I guarantee you said this earlier, and we'll end with this note. You know Jake's going to pump this shit up. He's going
to the moon
in the media. He is going to do everything under the moon, the stars, and the sun to make sure this is the biggest event in the history of combat sports.
You're going to be there. I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Paul makes a cameo appearance at WrestleMania with his brother Logan. I mean, how brilliant would that be? I mean, that's the best promotion you can think of, and I'm sure the WWE would gladly take him.
WWE is not stupid. I'll put it. Even though Jake's not their guy,
Doesn't matter.
Logan's their guy, and they have a good relationship with money. They still do. So one would have to, and plus that's a good since you're going to Netflix since January.
Look, the continuity, man.
It's smart. It's smart.
I mean, what are they talking about? Logan Paul and Randy Orton for WrestleMania, right? Isn't that what's being talked about?
Correct.
So you mean to tell me that I could easily see Jake Paul, like, punching Randy Orton and something like that and being like, oh, well, hey, by the way, Jake Paul's fighting on Netflix. And coincidentally, we're going to be on Netflix too because we got a ton of money from Netflix for the next 5 years. Netflix will be very happy. You want to make your partner happy.
And then you could add in fighting WWE Hall of Famer, Mike Tyson.
Boom. There you go. I'm telling you, we just made that happen. Look at that, Steve. We're brilliant.
Reach out to them today and see if they have any interest. And then,
hit up my man Greg Domino and then tell him to move it up the ladder.
I was going to tell you. Ray, how can the fans find you on social media, and when can they find the next One Championship?
SBR Flores, Bo, on social media. Very thankful. Pleasure joining you, my man. And then One Fight Night 20 tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central on Prime Video. One Fight Night 20. And then, coincidentally, right after that, the first Friday of every month on Prime Video, we come with you with One Championship. We got an awesome card first week of April, One Fight Night 21. That's been announced. We got Reagan Ursel back, the lightweight champion. He's back in action. Also, Ty Rotolo defending his welterweight submission grappling championship. But the first Friday of every month with One Championship, the world's largest martial arts organization. Also, Steve, I want to give you, I'm telling you now, man, I hope to see you first week of September when One Championship is in Denver, and then in November when One Championship is in Atlanta. So I hope to see you at our stateside shows, my man, and can't wait for One Championship to be in the United States for a second time.
I've been in contact with One Championship, actually. You didn't even know this.
See, I did not know this, man. You're breaking news to me, bro. What the heck?
I had a chat with someone there last week, a very good chat, and we're going to try to make it work. We're going to see how the dominoes fall here in these next few months, and hopefully something can get worked out to where I will be in Denver, Colorado, and then I love Atlanta. It's been a long
great town.
I've hit Atlanta. So I haven't been to Denver since Rampage Jackson, John Jones.
Wow, man. Unbelievable. Great fight town.
That's an unbelievable fight.
It's
one of those you don't think, but it's a big combat sports town. It really
big time.
Is. Actually, a state in general, if you really do think about it. But I'm hoping to be in Denver. I'm hoping to be in Atlanta. But no, I want to thank everybody. We've maintained a good audience here, and I want to thank everyone that's watched on YouTube. Just subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/@the Fight Club. This will also be in audio form. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, all your favorite podcasting platforms. Make sure you rate, review, download, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at SMuehlhausenJR. The same thing on Instagram and the same thing on TikTok. Me and you haven't done this in a very long time, and it just came because you texted me, and I'm sitting there, and I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm like, and I was with my wife taking my kid to preschool, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this today. We're doing it now. That's how
Let's do it, bro. It's been fun.
I would have understood. I did not know. I forgot you were in Bangkok, and you said that.
That's all good, man.
Oh my God, if he's going to say no, I would more than understand. But it's been some years since me and you have dusted off a microphone and done this together. But this has been awesome, and I'm very appreciative of you doing this. So thank you so much.
Likewise, brother. Congrats on everything and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to reading all your stuff over the next few months. When I'm out here in Bangkok for One Fight Night 21, I know there's going to be an event you're going to be covering, so I can't wait to be able to watch your videos and stuff like that, man. Keep up the great work, and you're doing a phenomenal job with the podcast and all that you do, man. The world of combat sports, thank you. Be more Steve Muehlhausen's around covering every aspect of the game.
The world does. Some people would disagree with you.
Well, I will debate them, and I'll fight them, man. You know what I mean? And I'll knock them out even probably, it's worse than Paul's likely going to knock out Mike Tyson. But, I went there, man. I'm sorry.
As I say to people, and I've said this to people inside the industry, I just want to have fun now. This is all about having fun, making money, and have fun making money. It's no longer like this whole working for demand and like I'm at that stage. You're the first friend I made in this space, and I'm always appreciative of that. And it's all about fun. You also got to make money, and now I can call my rate, and this is fun. I want to do more. This is what I want to do, stuff like this. Breaking news. Let's talk shop with one of the best in the business, and just get thoughts and opinions. Talk about the sport, and that's what all this is all about. It's all about having fun for everyone that watched. I do appreciate it. But a lot of cool stuff coming up. I'm going to do a video later today that will be up for tomorrow about Kazuchika Okada debuting in All Elite Wrestling, being with the
Nice.
that was something. I have to rewatch. I have to watch the whole segment. I only caught a clip because I had to get my kids to bed, and I fell asleep in my 4-year-old's bed. And then I drank some Guinness. So it just did not happen to watch that in full last night. So I'm going to do that after we talk here and after I upload the podcast. But Ray, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much. Have fun. Watch One Championship live tomorrow night. They are in Bangkok morning, United States, here, prime time. That's how it's done. Zone, Netflix, PBC, not PBC because they're on Amazon Prime Video. They Saudi Arabia, everywhere else in between. Peace. I'm out.
Later, brother.